What about a team that did not have as much success this year, at least not compared to the expectations? Because going into Brent Venables' first season, Oklahoma was still considered one of the favorites to win the Big 12, and I didn't think that was crazy. I don't think any of us on the Cover Three podcast thought it was that crazy. But they go 6-6 in the regular season, competitive, but losers at the bowl game against Florida State. And how do you look at what Brent Venables has been able to do? What stands out about his not only first full cycle as Oklahoma's coach, but his first full cycle as a head coach, recruiting at a job that has really high expectations?
I think Brent Venables came in. He made some savvy hires. I think Jeff Levy's a really nice offensive coordinator for them, assuming that he stays at Oklahoma. Obviously, he's been rumored a little bit with the whole Alabama offensive coordinator search. I don't know where that will go, but as you see here, national rank 4, conference rank 2, but you are recruiting to join the SEC, right? So 3 5-stars, 14 4-stars, that'll get it done. I think they would be, what, 3rd or 4th right now within the SEC ranks, and like we just talked about LSU, you're having more mega recruiters join this conference, and it is just a tougher conference week to week. The Big 12, if you take out Oklahoma and Texas, they don't really have a whole lot of teams that recruit at that top 25 level. Maybe TCU and Texas Tech are down there a little bit. Chip, I think the name you have to know out of this class, and there's a couple, but Jackson Arnold, their quarterback, he's a stud, and he's a guy who I think is maybe the most battle-tested quarterback of anybody in this class. Some people, I think, do believe he's the best quarterback in this class. He absolutely killed it at a really high level in the state of Texas. That is just a level of kind of proven play that not a lot of guys in this class have. I mean, Nico has elite tools. Obviously, Arch is a really special player. Malachi as well. But Jackson Arnold, he has a strong arm. He has a pretty compact release. He's very mobile. I think he is a guy who is he going to unseat Dylan Gabriel in year one. I doubt it, but I would feel very confident if I was an Oklahoma fan stepping in to the SEC with Jackson Arnold as my quarterback as a second-year player. And we knew they had to get a lot better at defense, okay? Mm-hmm. And this guy that I'm about to talk about is much better at rushing the passer than I am at pronouncing his name, but I'm going to try. Okay, so PJ Adewale he's the first time I really seen him in person, like as a more developed, physically kid. Chip, he crushed it in practices at the Under Armour game where I live down in Orlando. The guy has great get-off length. You could just see him just swallowing guys up. His brother is an all Big Ten player at Northwestern. They got a lot better on defense overall. They took Peyton Bowen from Notre Dame. They got Makari Vickers out of Tallahassee, which I think will be a really nice safety tandem. We look at Oklahoma. Defensively, I think you have to account because they go so fast, right? Pace-wise, are they really the 120th worst defense in the country? No, that seems a little silly, but they definitely weren't a good one this year, right? They're a lot more talented now thanks to what Venables is doing defensively, and they're going to need that when they get to the SEC.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Don't you find yourself encouraged if you're an Oklahoma fan, knowing that as you are making the move to the Southeastern Conference, you have a head coach who really prioritizes accumulating talent on the defensive side of the ball, a coach who already has a proven track record of being able to, yes, develop, teach, scheme up that defensive side of the ball, but now is really sort of flipping the recruiting profile so that Oklahoma can be a player, because there's just no way that an Oklahoma fan could be encouraged if you were going into the SEC with defenses that you thought were going to get shredded. And yeah, the numbers are not going to look great because of how fast this offense goes. But I think you've got to look at what we have here at the end of this class, especially on the defensive side of the ball, as a sign that Brent Venables is not going to let Oklahoma's defense become a total joke. Because I'll tell you what, when Oklahoma's offense starts playing SEC defenses on a week-in, week-out basis, then they are not going to be, on some levels, on some Saturdays, not as successful as they were in the Big 12. It is a step up in competition, and I think that you have to get better and a little bit more well-rounded, especially with it as it pertains to the defensive side of the ball. If I'm an Oklahoma fan, I look at this class, and I'm like, all right, okay, we are getting dudes, capital D dudes, that are going to be able to give us a chance to not just get shredded on Saturdays in the SEC.
100%. And look, Brent Venables has not coached in the SEC. He did win multiple national championships against the SEC when he was coaching at Clemson, including like one of the biggest title game blowouts we've had in a while when Clemson smoked Alabama out there in Santa Clara. So I do think he understands what it takes to succeed in that league. But understanding it and doing it are different things. And I think this is a good first step for Oklahoma. They're going to need to do this every single year if they want to compete, because you are looking up at Georgia and Alabama, and LSU's right on your heels, and Texas is also doing a really good job. But I think they're going to be a much more physical team going forward if they can. And you say, hey, if you run that style of offense, can you be physical? I think you can. Go back to those Baylor teams under Briles. They were actually pretty damn physical, right? And defensively, I don't see any real reason why you can't play physical defense opposite of that spread style offense, as long as you can rep it a little bit in practice. But the length that they're adding defensively, I think, is going to be huge, especially with Vickers and PJ. As we talked about, I like their linebacker class as well. I'm just almost every Oklahoma guy I saw in the All-Star season, I was like, I see it. I like what they're doing here. This makes a lot of sense.